Hey, so I'm on here today to talk about mental health. It was a bit of a challenge to get here at first because my dog loves to be in the middle of everything that I'm doing. And as you can hear, as soon as I start recording, he starts barking. Um, the joys of being a dog owner. Anyway, I'm leaving this message about mental health because what I've noticed is the past 3 days I've really been struggling with my mental health. All of my usual coping mechanisms and strategies that I've had have not been working as well as usual. So I was going out to nature, walking a lot, getting enough sleep, all that kind of stuff. But my sleep's gone out the window. I'm not sleeping well. I don't know why. I think one of the reasons was because I had an important x-ray today and that might have been playing on my mind. I'm not sure. But I think there's quite a few things going on. But my usual coping strategies aren't working. So just to give you a short synopsis, I was diagnosed at 24 with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And at the time, I didn't tell anybody what was going on. I didn't tell family, I didn't tell friends, didn't tell my boyfriend at the time. And I think many of those people who are now in my past don't know about that diagnosis either. I've come a long way from there because I've been in therapy. I had a lot of toxic traits as a youngster, and I was mixed up in a lot of things that I'm no longer mixed up in. So I quit alcohol, drugs, everything that was affecting my life negatively. And that's great. I've been sober for 3 years and 10 months, but I'm not going to lie to you. As much as it is positive, it's also been a very arduous journey. So I've gone from numbing myself out completely to now feeling everything. It's not easy to get clean, and it's certainly not easy to stay that way when you've got big stuff going on in your life. So for instance, one of the things I struggle with is loss of anything, so a relationship or people. And last year I had a mental breakdown. I was feeling suicidal. I was not in a good place whatsoever. That's an understatement. And I really just did not want to be around because I was in so much pain and I didn't know how to deal with it all. I'd lost 3 people close to me. I had a relationship at the time which I thought was going okay, and this person completely changed. It turned out to be very emotionally abusive, and I also had an MRI at the time for breast cancer, which I have every year, so that's quite a nerve-wracking time. I think all of it amalgamated, and that also I lost my job. So all of it together was very, very intense, and I just felt like I completely had lost who I was. I didn't know who I was anymore without my work because I'm a singer, and the way I deal with my emotions a lot of the time was going to work and singing and processing anything difficult by just getting on stage and getting all of that stuff out in a positive way. So I just felt very, very lost. And from that time, I've just been trying to piece my life back together. But I'm not going to lie to you. It's not like my mental health was perfect before then. I think anybody knows with complex PTSD, the mixture of symptoms that you get, the dissociation, the nightmares, the flashbacks, and they can be emotional or visual. I sometimes get it. For instance, I can't stand sirens or any loud, sudden noises, which I think is most people with C-PTSD. And from what I gather, I've had this since I was young because I grew up in a domestically violent home. I felt incredibly out of control and I didn't know what was going to happen next. So there was just a constant sense of dread and anxiety in my family home. And I was very discombobulated as a child. I couldn't concentrate at school. I found it very hard to make friends. I would normally have maybe like one friend at a time, but I very rarely had like a big group of friends because I felt very different from everyone else. I realized that I was, when I used to go to friends' houses and stuff and see their families, I was like, yeah, I knew that my life was not normal. And my parents were not available people. My mum obviously was being abused, so she was all over the place and couldn't meet my needs and was very irritable, didn't really want to deal with my needs at all. My needs were seen as a nuisance, and my father was just a very explosive, violent person. So the mixture of the two, it was a problem. Let's put it that way. That's an understatement. But this is what's caused the C-PTSD over the years. And then obviously I've had other things happen in my life that are built on that. I had breast cancer in 2019, and that was pretty damn tough. I've been in a few abusive relationships since then, and that's definitely caused some damage. I find it very, very hard to trust people. I find it very hard to make and keep friends. Also, just because of my own, I've had my own toxic traits, because I was conditioned in a certain way, and that's not blaming my parents. It's like we have to recognize where the problems start so that we can actually start to work on them in therapy. And I realized that I wasn't subjected to healthy behaviors, so I didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like. I didn't know how that was supposed to be. So if you've got that from your caregivers, where are you supposed to learn that? And it's not like I haven't had anyone loving in my life. I have had some wonderful people in my life, but unfortunately a lot of them have passed away. Anyway, what I found with CPTSD is that you can just suddenly go from 0 to 100 in the ways of that you can just be out, and then the things that you normally do to cope just don't work. For instance, I was walking out in nature, things were pretty damn good. And then the other day, I tried to go out in nature and do my usual walk. All I wanted to do was come home. I felt very unsafe. I felt like I wanted to cry. I don't know what it was. Something must have triggered me because I felt very hypervigilant. I didn't want to be anywhere near anybody else, any crowds, anything like that. And I just felt this urgency and this rush to get home. And, this isn't the first time it's happened. It happens, it can happen on quite regularly. But it's just, I find it really upsetting when I cannot use my usual coping strategies. And that sometimes might involve me just having to be at home, making sure that I just have the basics. Eat, stay hydrated, keep my nervous system regulated, which I think is the main thing with CPTSD, is the dysregulation of it. And then because you're finding it hard to regulate yourself, you dissociate, and it's just like watching yourself live separately from everyone else in a movie almost. It's very odd, and you're not like, I've had to really engage in my body to work out how that's looking, because most of the time you dissociate, you don't even realize. I thought that was just, I just thought that's how people are, but it's not. It's that feeling of never really being present and being very easily distracted by noises or anything going around you, because you're just hypervigilant the whole time. Anyway, after what happened last year, I've been struggling ever since, and I thought I was getting on a better trajectory over the last couple of months. I thought, I'm improving. I'm starting to feel spurts of joy and stuff like that, because when I lost these people, which is two friends of mine and my cousin, and when I lost my job, and then the relationship was just really, I was very confused by that, because I thought I knew this person and they just did a complete 180. And at the end of the relationship, what I saw of them was not the person that I thought I had known. And it just turned my life upside down. I thought this person cared about me and they just didn't. And I gave them all that I could with every fibre of my being. So that really, just all of it together. And he left at a time when I really needed support. So it just felt like everything was crumbling. It felt like my whole life had crumbled, and from March to July, August, it just completely was just like, and the 3 people I lost was within a month and a half. So the grief and the loss of all of it together is very, very intense. I didn't know which way was up or down. And when you're just reeling in so much pain, you don't know what to do with it. You don't know who to go to. And I also had it where I'd actually turn around to a friend of mine and I said, I'm really, like, he asked how I was doing, and I said, I'm really struggling. I feel suicidal. I don't think he knew what to do, but at that time as well, when my life crumbled, I had just a few friends walk out of my life. I don't know whether that was because they couldn't handle it or what was going on for them at the time, but I think all of it together just really, really hurt. And look, admittedly, I've made many mistakes in friendships where I've upset people and I've said the wrong thing and I've regretted things that I've done. And the same thing in any relationships. Like, I've made mistakes and I've messed up, I've fucked up. But this time around, honestly, unless they noticed something I didn't, which maybe they would, but then I think if people are your friends and they love you, they'll talk to you first about their grievances and what's going on for them and why something is too much. But sometimes, people are not us and they don't find it easy to communicate. So those friendships died as well. So everything just vanished. And yeah, just building my life back up. But it's been quite I would say I've been very on my own with this, but I think that's actually what I've needed. I don't know how any of you deal with, say, like a decline in your mental health and when your usual coping mechanisms aren't working. I mean, if you can suggest anything else, we're all so different. What works for one person might not work for another, but I think it's always good to share that just in case, you've got a certain anecdote that might help somebody else. Something that does definitely help on most days is journaling. I don't know, we all know how to journal, but it does work. And I'd say even if you don't like writing, there is an app that has, it's called Voice Diary. And you can just speak into that and just get your feelings out. Sometimes I've done that while I've been walking. So it's like something about just moving your feet from left to right and then just getting out your emotions at the same time. Because obviously when you're walking, it's regulating your nervous system as well. That whole left, right, walk, whilst talking about quite troubling emotions. And then you don't have to mind your P's and Q's. It's not like you're talking to a friend. You don't have to worry about what you're saying, and you don't have to worry about like telling them stuff that might upset them or anything. You can just get all of your stuff out. I'm in therapy as well. But I think it's also the struggle of when I came out of this relationship and realized after around a few months that this person was emotionally abusive, and started trying to make sense of what went on in the relationship. I'm still struggling with that. It's been 9 months since, and I'm still confused by things that happened and who this person really was and who they made out to be at the start. I'm still confused by it. But I think anyone knows who's been in these kinds of relationships with the intermittent reinforcement, the cognitive dissonance and everything, it can leave you feeling very haphazard and trying to work out what's up from down. And I'm still struggling with that. I've obviously made progress, but even with going to therapy, I'm still finding that challenging. But I had anxiety today. It felt almost like an electric current was running through my body. I couldn't focus, very fidgety, couldn't pay attention to anything, and it was almost just like I need to do something, but I don't know what it is. And that's a pretty horrible feeling when you don't really know what to do with it. I got outside. I went to my appointment that I had to go to today for my x-ray. It was really nice to see people at the hospital. They were lovely, really good people, made me feel really relaxed about the procedure and stuff, which was great. But when I left there, I just went for a walk. And I have to say, the walking helped, but I did a voice diary. That did help, but I was still not able to regulate that sort of electric current anxiety for quite a while. I did cry a lot today. as well, which what I've noticed is I tend to over intellectualize my emotions and try to I don't even think it's try, it's just like overthinking them so that you don't really have to feel stuff, you know? Or like using methods to numb out, like social media. I mean, I'm not on Instagram or Facebook or anything, but I had TikTok and I deleted it because I was just scrolling and I just thought this isn't healthy. Like, just delete the app for now. I do like playing Monopoly Go though. That's quite fun. I like that game to play. But yeah, I would be very interested to hear your views. Anyone who obviously is going through mental illness themselves and how they deal with when they're having days, you know, when you're having days where you're feeling down and things aren't working for you that normally work, and just dealing with those really uncomfortable feelings. And I know sometimes we just have to sit with them, but I find that so hard sometimes, because it just feels really overwhelming, especially when it comes to grief and loss. So I'd be very interested to hear your feedback. Do bear with me. This is my first video that I have posted on socials such as YouTube. So yeah, do bear with me. I am a bit of a rambler sometimes. But yeah, please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and if you got anything from this. I think I've just come on here today to just express what it's like to live with a mental illness, and you know how it can be on certain days, and whether it resonates with you and whether you can relate to it, and to let you know that you're not alone and that there are other people going through this as well, because it can feel lonely when it's mental health. Even though we know logically there's other people that are going through it, it feels very lonely. And especially in this day and age, you know, loneliness is on the rise, and I think we need this content to start conversation and to keep us connected so that we can talk about these things. Anyway, I wish you a peaceful evening, and I will definitely be doing more videos in future. And if you can relate to anything and would like to leave a comment underneath, I'd love to hear from you. All right, take care. Thanks very much. Bye.